season championship in 2024. Hoos will try to score in the net to our left here in this first half. American trying to do the same to our right. David Erbacher is our referee tonight. Rick Rogers, Dustin Marks on the lines. And Bradley Yoder is our fourth official this evening as we have an early foul. And Mr. Erbacher tells everybody to calm down. Virginia played in a very contentious match against George Mason back on Thursday. A lot of fouls, a lot of yellow cards. A game which featured 16 yellow cards to be precise. And the red card to Zachary Ehrenpreis. Because of that, the freshman left center back unavailable tonight. So Virginia changing up its back three a little bit. The Cavaliers in their familiar 3-5-2. Jesus De Vicente, the transfer coming in from UIC, lets it roll out of bounds. Early throw in here for the Hoos. And we have a reckless challenge here from American. Patrick Royek, just his second career start tonight, and immediately he is shown yellow in the first minute. Well, Royek is in there for American. Toshi Davis, a question mark for Zach Sammel's team this evening. Davis got injured in the 57th minute in the Vermont match on Friday. He did not return. And this is cause for concern for UVA as De Vicente is slow to get back on his feet, but he does pop up, so that's an encouraging sign. De Vicente is such an integral playmaker from a wide position for UVA. He already has a goal this season against San Diego State, and De Vicente is really known for his crosses. A couple of years ago with UIC, he had 11 assists back in the 2023 season. All right, so good to see De Vicente back in the fold. Casper Moles, the starting keeper for UVA, blasting it ahead. American takes care of that. And back to the UVA back line where Sebastian Pop takes control. Alex Parvu, 4 in the orange for UVA, making his first collegiate start tonight. In fact, 3 Hoos are debuting in the starting 11 in their careers for UVA. Parker Sloan, who moves from right to left center back with Ehrenpreis out. Early opportunity takes a breath out of UVA fans as Colin O'Brien shot it wide. O'Brien played 55 minutes against Vermont, a career high for him, the sophomore from Jersey, after he scored a goal 2 matches ago against LMU. Couple of 1-goal losses for the Eagles to begin this season against Cal Baptist 3-2, 2-1 against LMU. An opportunity for Sammy Ulue, and that one's parried aside by Matthew Tibbetts. Ulue, another Who, making his first collegiate start this evening. Corner kick for UVA. Now George Gelnevach has had to tinker with his lineup this evening because no Brendan Lamb. Here's Marco Dos Santos. Back to Albin Gashi, one of the 2 captains alongside Humberto Pella. De Vicente just didn't get enough wood on that cross. Back out towards midfield where De Vicente will throw it in. So as we mentioned earlier, a physical match between Mason and UVA back on Thursday. Brendan Lamb got injured in the first 8 minutes of that match, and he is out for tonight with a toe injury. And we saw him on crutches before the match even started. So hopefully Lamb is back sooner rather than later as we have a foul here on Colin O'Brien. Parker Sloan getting up. Who's restart? So with no Ehrenpreis, Jed Akwobwa makes his first collegiate start. He's at the right center back spot for the Hoos, 20 in the orange. Ulue dangles around a defender. Loose change. Dos Santos uses the right. That's repelled. And back out towards the center of the park. Here's Pella. Played 90 minutes in the first couple of games for UVA. And then 74 against Mason as the Hoos fell behind by 3 goals in the second half. Gashi elevates it to Parvu, the sophomore from Rhode Island. Nice little pass. Dos Santos on the overlap, and Parvu can't catch up to it. Goal kick for American. For the Who's, it won't necessarily go down as a horrible loss against Mason back on Thursday. We're talking about a George Mason program that won the A10 regular season championship last year for the first time in program history under head coach Rich Costanza. Probably a team that will finish inside the top 50 in the RPI. You lose that game on the road. It's not necessarily something to sweat in terms of your postseason hopes as an at-large moving forward. Martin Sereno scored in the 18th minute for George Mason, and Virginia was chasing the game from there. Aaron Price then got the red card in the 26th minute as he wrapped up Jamie Godinho on a partial break. Coaching staff for UVA said that Aaron Price, he's going to learn from that because he probably didn't need to do that. He probably could have trusted his fellow backline members to hustle back and make a challenge on the play. But on the ensuing free kick, Virginia surrendered a goal. Here's a turnover for the Who's. Casper Moles, the goalkeeper, trying to use his back line and make a couple of passes, but American is on it here. Kobe Kiamani has it here. It's a 4-4-2 formation for American. When the Eagles defend, it'll morph more into a 3-2-4-1 in possession with one of the outside backs moving forward. For now, that appears to be the left back, and that's Taku Takahashi. Sebastian Garces, one of the two forwards, tripped up and fouled by Dave Vicente, who shows his displeasure from David Erbacher's call. And here's one of the captains for American, Jonah Fogel, the most seasoned member of the back line, a senior from Brooklyn. 34th collegiate start for Fogel this evening. Royek slipping it inside the 18. On the return pass, didn't get to Royek, and Parker Sloan had enough of that. Certainly an adjustment tonight for Sloan, moving from right center back to left center back with the inclusion of Akwobwa. Jed is a sophomore from Short Hills, New Jersey. Did not play the entirety of last season. This is just his third collegiate match. Played 5 minutes in the opener against San Diego State in his debut, then 30 minutes off the bench against Mason. But they really like Akwobwa. He's a speedy guy, almost touched 22 miles per hour on a sprint in preseason. Shot from distance, trickles wide off the right foot of Sebastian Garces. Goal kick for Moles. Casper, the graduate student from Denmark, transferring in from Kentucky, a former first-team All-American in his first season of college back in 2022 when he led the Wildcats to the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Moles made a bit of a boo-boo, though, on the second goal for George Mason. Off the free kick following Aaron Price's red card, James Iliuda for Mason scored after Moles kind of dropped the ball as he was trying to bring it in towards his body, lowering the positioning of the ball. It slipped free and allowed Mason to punch it in. Troy Elgersma, the other captain for American, 30 in the silver jersey. Elgersma, the reigning Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year. 2 of his Patriot League leading 7 assists came in this matchup last year between the Who's and AU. Nice little maneuver there from Gashi, oohs and ahs the crowd. Ulue looks up and finds plenty of room. The speedy freshman forward looking up. Switches the point of the attack for the sophomore Parvu. Chris Sullivan, the sophomore, defends. Pella flicks it on for Gashi. Those two with great chemistry. Dos Santos with 2 defenders draped on him. Back out to Parvu. And now Akwobwa. Virginia's 3 center backs really pushing forward right now, trying to hem in American. Just over 8 minutes gone by in this opening half, each team with 2 shots. Here's Sebastian Popp, the Norwegian freshman. He's not a youngster, though. He's 23 years old. Popp played in Norway's 3rd division, has played at the U20 level for Norway in the past. De Vicente looks up, crosses in, tipped away by Ian Webb Johnson, one of the 2 center backs for American. Oliver Snowden tried to clear it, couldn't succeed in that. Here's Sloan, senior from Cartersville, Virginia, 50 miles away from Charlottesville. The ultimate lunch pail guy for UVA. Goes to work, just puts in a great shift every single practice and match. Dos Santos fizzes it into the back post, and Pella nods it home. A thing of beauty for the Who's. Humberto Pella pockets his first goal this season, and Virginia strikes in the 10th minute. Marco Dos Santos with his 3rd assist in 2025, and the hot start that the Who's so desperately wanted. Remember, in this matchup a year ago, at this point in the game, American had a 1-0 lead, and the Eagles tacked on a couple minutes later. But this time it's UVA who forces American to maybe get out of its shell and change the way they play. For Pella, it's just his 2nd collegiate goal, scored against Pitt in the ACC quarters in the Steel City last year. And a guy who Coach Gelnevach describes as maybe one of the best central midfielders in the country. And he compares him to a former Who great in Joe Bell, who has represented New Zealand at the national level. High hopes for Pella this season, and he gets on the board here for the Who's. Pella, more known for his playmaking. He's like the ultimate conduit, passing through channels, building through lines. This time he calls his own number. American has gotten off to some rough starts this season. The Eagles have surrendered now 7 goals this year, 6 of which coming in the first half. O'Brien on the drop-off. Sullivan exchanges in the middle for Royek. Garces out wide, looping it in towards the back post. Parvu gets a head on it. Back out to Elgersma. Garces on the reset. Elgersma, who has a couple of goals this season, he coughs it up. Ulue on the ground. He wins possession. Goes with the Meg. Again, impresses the crowd. But American regains. Elgersma scored in the 45th minute against Cal Baptist right before halftime. And then added a goal against Vermont in the 72nd minute. That tied the game against the Catamounts. 2nd straight season, by the way, American has tied Vermont. Last year, the Eagles got a result in Burlington. Jonah Fogle. Garces. And Elgersma, who slips on the turf. Akwobwa heads it towards midfield. Pella a fake. And sheds it out wide. Here's Parvu. The right back position, the right wing back spot, has been up for grabs for UVA over the first 3+ matches. Noah Hall got the first 3 starts of the season in that spot, the transfer from Pitt, but Coach Gelnevach looking for a different feel tonight with Parvu. Great fitness on that right side, has an excellent service with that right foot. Very aggressive. Sloan, the former Virginia Gatorade Player of the Year in high school as a forward. He has transitioned to the back as his time here in Charlottesville has continued. Dos Santos goes down. David Erbacher doesn't blow his whistle. Play continues. Ian Webb-Johnson, captain, didn't play much his first couple of seasons as Dave Vicente knocks it out. Webb-Johnson didn't play the entirety of his freshman season. Only 4 games last year because he was behind 2 excellent center backs in Cooper Nunn and Nicholas Shirley. Nunn, a 3-time All-Patriot League selection after coming over from Monroe Community College, and then Shirley started 42 games in his 4-year American career. It is an Eagles team under 7th-year head coach Zach Sammel, who lost a lot from last year. In fact, they only returned 9 goals from 2024. They're much younger than they were a year ago. 16 of the 28 on the roster underclassmen. And so Sammel said to us before the match that The first three, they're kind of figuring some things out. They don't necessarily have their lineup set in stone just yet. The California trip kind of showed their inexperience because they had 2 red cards in 2 matches. Pop plays it back for Moles. And now Akwobwa. Chris Sullivan got a second yellow card in the Cal Baptist match in the opener in the 70th minute. So American played down a man for the final 20 minutes of that match. And then against LMU, Mason Miller got a red card in the 75th minute. Miller sat out the Vermont game, available tonight as a reserve. Turnover in midfield. Ulue, freshman from the Ivory Coast, part of the Right to Dream Academy, played his high school soccer up in New York. Gashi, the seasoned midfielder, the Swedish senior. Gashi twirls with the ball. Feeds it for Akwobwa. And now Pop. Virginia and American meeting for the 24th time. UVA leads the series 18-4-1. That one tie in the 84 NCAA second round in Charlottesville. 0-0 after extra time. Virginia advancing in penalty kicks. In fact, they've met 4 times in the NCAA tournament. Most recently in 2004, Virginia winning 2-1. Hunter Freeman, Will Hall scoring for the Hoos that day. Sloan to Dos Santos with pressure from Fogle. De Vicente slides it for Dos Santos, who tried to get tricky with it. Dos Santos clips it in towards the 6, dives to the ground. Ulue releases with the left foot, pops in the air, and knocked out of the box by Webb Johnson. Dos Santos, tangled up with 2 Eagles, goes down, no whistle. Possession returns to the Hoos. Pop. Gashi. Back to Pop. Virginia settling things down here with a quarter hour gone by. The Hoos have now scored in all of their matches, and they've scored first in 3 out of the 4. Little back heel attempt there from Dos Santos didn't work. Foot race here, and Pop wins the battle against O'Brien. Sebastian very good with the ball. When you speak with this Virginia coaching staff, they describe Sebastian as trustworthy, very good communicator. They think that he could end up as one of the best center backs in the ACC. If you're just joining us from the UVA side, no Brendan Lamb this evening after he suffered an injury against George Mason. They're still waiting to get back Nick Dang, an MLS draft pick. Hasn't played now in the first 4. Maybe in the next couple of weeks as they get into ACC play. Conference play begins Friday for the Hoos against Virginia Tech. De Vicente shuttling in the box. Drop off for the freshman Simmons, who shoots, and it's a save from Tibbetts. 2 freshmen up top for Coach Gelnevach tonight in Simmons and Ulue. And they really like the youth at the top. Simmons scored his first career goal against Mason in the 57th minute. A header with the assist from Ulue. That was following a corner kick. Simmons coming in from Midlothian, the Richmond area. Played his youth soccer with Richmond United and Richmond Kickers. Jamaican U17 and U20 national team experience. And he's a guy too, Simmons. We haven't necessarily seen this yet tonight, but he is pretty assertive. He will take the game into his own hands. Very proactive as he moves his way, maybe from a forward spot, dropping back into the midfield to get a touch on the ball, survey his options. He's been very impressive so far in his freshman season. Moles has a howitzer of a right foot. In fact, he almost had an assist against Mason off a goal kick. But at that time, he couldn't locate it properly. O'Brien wanted a whistle, none coming. Two programs very familiar with one another. Two coaching staffs very familiar with one another as well. Zach Sammel, prior to his time at American, was an assistant and an associate head coach at Georgetown for 13 seasons. And while he was with the Hoyas, faced the Who's a couple of times. Dos Santos cranks it in towards the back post, and Dave Vicente couldn't keep it in. Virginia fans might remember the Elite Eight between UVA and Georgetown. In 2014, who's winning in penalty kicks to get to the College Cup and eventually winning the national championship. But when Sammel was with Georgetown, very successful stint in those 13 years. 3 Big East tournament championships, coached 10 All-Americans, 11 Big East Players of the Year. Georgetown made the national championship game in 2012 before losing to Indiana. And in fact, the Hoyas won the national championship the year after Sammel left for this job at American in 2019. Whose fans might also remember that, as Georgetown won in PKs over UVA after a 3-3 stalemate. De Vicente delivers it back to Sloan. Plenty of space on the far side for Akwobwa. Jed showing off that great speed with the ball, so calm and poised. Gashi all the way out wide for De Vicente, forcing Fogel to the exterior. And Jonah blocked the cross. Virginia ball. These wingbacks for UVA in the 3-5-2, so important. Have to be very fit. And De Vicente is certainly a big minute guy. Averages 79 minutes per match over the first 3. Coming in from UIC, where he was a 2-time first-team All-OVC selection. Gashi looks around. Deals it for Akwobwa. And he couldn't connect there with Parvu. Intercept from Sullivan. Now O'Brien makes the run down the line. Pop puts a shoulder in too assertively. And he is shown yellow, and Sebastian can't believe it. So now we have a yellow card on both sides. Remember, Royek got a yellow card in the first minute on a challenge to De Vicente. And we get one here in minute 21 to Pop. These two teams have combined to get 3 red cards in their first 3 matches. And we have an illegal throw in here. So American wants the ball, and Chris Sullivan gives a shove to Umberto Pella. Sullivan was injured in the game against Vermont. 70th minute, did not return, but speaking with Coach Sammel this morning, he said Chris totally okay to go. A guy who's very quick and shifty. And when they morph from that 4-back to a 3-back in possession, they like him kind of pinched in. He's a playmaker. Pella. Sloan. And back to Sebastian Pop. As we near the midway point of half number 1, shots in favor of Virginia, 5-2. 3 shots on target for the Who's, none for AU. There is Simmons checking back to the ball, and now he turns on the afterburners. Simmons near the 18, he shoots, and that one's rebuffed. Garces, Meg's the referee. And now Sullivan resets for Takahashi. Taku Takahashi, a very versatile player. He plays left back, center mid, And he's in that spot. Again, no Mason Miller just yet. The freshman who played the full 90 in the opener, left center back. And the reason why Takahashi is the left back is because Kobe Kiamani, who was normally in that spot, had to move more centrally into the left center back role. Royek taken off the ball. But then he wins it back, commits a foul, blasts it away, and immediately is shown yellow. And he knew it right away. He understands that's a mistake, and he has just been shown yellow again, so that's a red. It is Royek who goes off. So Patrick Royek is the one shown the red after his second yellow. So he makes the slow walk to the sideline, and American will play down a man the rest of the match. That is the third red card for the Eagles in 4 matches this season. Remember, in match 1, Chris Sullivan got 2 yellows. In match 2, Mason Miller got a red on a slide tackle that was initially ruled a yellow, but upon review upgraded to a red. So exactly what Virginia wants. Up a goal, up a man. And the Hoos, they love to dominate possession anyway. And so American certainly has to come out of its shell. Pella knocks it forward, De Vicente. His cross stays on the ground. Simmons faces up. Gashi off a bounce, off the chest of the goalkeeper Tibbetts, and cleared aside. Akwobwa. It's a pop. American pretty much defending right now in a 4-4-1 with O'Brien as the lone striker. Sebastian Garces, who started the game as a striker, dropping back to a right mid with Royek out of the game, and that's the spot Royek was in. Patrick Royek, making just his second collegiate start and just his 8th game, made a big mistake to put his team down a man. And really nothing David Erbacher could do. He gave out the yellow to Royek on the reckless challenge of De Vicente in the first minute. Once he hammered that ball away, had to give the second yellow. Jonah Fogel didn't like that Sammy Olue went sliding in. And so Sammy is just getting a quick chat from our referee tonight. Saw him there kind of point to his head, reminding Sammy to be smart. No need for that play near the end line. Up to Elgersma, one of the taller guys on American at 6'3". Elgersma, a guy who was thinking about playing Division III soccer out in California, where he's from, Redlands, California. Didn't get a lot of bites in the recruiting process. 4 years later, Zach Samuel very thankful to have him on the team. Dos Santos brings it down. Distributes for Pella and back to Dos Santos. See the communication on this near side between Garces and Fogel. Wouldn't be surprising at the end of this match to look down at the score sheet and see the Hoos have maybe 65–70% of the possession. With American down a man, this is troubling for the Eagles. American's been outshot in every single game it's played in, and certainly expected that coming in, regardless of how many men the Eagles were playing with. But with this manpower advantage for the Hoos, who knows what it's going to look like by 90 minutes end. O'Brien, he's got to take on a slew of Hoos. And David Erbacher was waiting to see if there would be advantage for American. There was not, so it's a free kick for the Eagles. American picked 3rd in the Patriot League preseason poll behind BU and Bucknell. American last season 5-5-9. A lot of ties there. They beat Loyola in the quarters of the Patriot League tournament before drawing Bucknell in the semis. Bison advanced in PKs 6-5. Bucknell eventually winning the Patriot League championship over Colgate 3-0. American hasn't won the Patriot League title since the spring of 2021. That was their first NCAA tournament year since '04. Garces goes sliding with Gashi. Those two wrestling on the floor. It looks like they're playing Twister. Back out towards the Virginia defensive third. Gashi links up with Simmons, fresh off his first collegiate goal. Ulue with a strike. And Tibbetts thankfully in the right spot for American. Well, Zach Sammel has two goalkeepers he's very confident in Tibbetts and Tubbs. Evan Tubbs, the freshman from Connecticut. Alternated goalies in the first three matches, but he goes back to Tibbetts this evening. Matthew making his 42nd collegiate start this evening. Westboro, Massachusetts product from Worcester County. And Tibbetts played one of his most brilliant matches of his career against Vermont a few days ago. I mean, Tibbetts only had 5 saves in that match. He's had 10 in a match before, his career high against UNCW last year. But the quality of saves that Tibbetts made really kept that game level. In fact, both teams could have easily won that match, Vermont and American. Chris Sullivan had a juicy chance in the second half, following a beautiful cross from Troy Elgersma that he did not connect on. Patrick Royek also had a free header inside the 6 in the 71st minute that went wide. First time American has tied the #1 team in the country in program history. The Eagles do have a win against the #1 in the nation, going back to 2014 when they beat UCLA. And if American were to get a win tonight, it would be the best win for the program since that 2014 Bruins game. Ulue knocks it wide. De Vicente towards the penalty dot and headed away by Chiamini. De Vicente brushes it over. Dos Santos serves it back for Pop. And now Pella. Umberto, the goal scorer tonight for UVA, on a header in minute 10. Assist to Marco Dos Santos on that one. Virginia content moving it from side to side. Now they start to move vertically. Dos Santos chips it in. Pella waiting for it, and here comes Tibbetts to corral it. Matthew Tibbetts from the New England Revolution Academy won an MLS Next U19 championship back in 2022. And he's been the starter for much of his 4 years in college. Ulue. Dos Santos calls off Gashi. And possession returns to the Who's. Here's Parvu. 13th cap for Parvu, his first start tonight. Sophomore of Romanian descent. American set to make some changes on the next whistle. Remember, you only get the 6 windows to make subs in collegiate soccer on the men's side. Pella. Pop. On the drop-off, Gashi. Albin scoring in the opener against San Diego State. Had an assist on Brendan Lamb's goal against Stetson. De Vicente leaves it. Dos Santos curling it into the back post. It drops down for Parvu. Knocks it back. Gashi couldn't get solid contact on it. Ball stays free, and a foul on Simmons as he goes tumbling down with Webb Johnson. Now both teams are ready to make some adjustments as Simmons remains down for UVA. Simmons a goal and an assist so far in his first 3 matches of college. As American makes changes here while Simmons stays down. A lot of them. Moad Isa here is in after not playing against Vermont. 12 in the silver, a sophomore from Springfield, Virginia in Fairfax County. Started against Loyola Marymount. All right, good to see Simmons on his feet, but he's still kind of bent over. Al Bengashi putting his arm around the young freshman. For the Who's, Otto Smith. A.J. Smith is on the field for the first time this evening. The Danish junior, a striker at 6'4", coming off the bench for the 4th time this season. Scored a couple of huge goals for UVA last year against Pitt in the ACC tournament, against West Virginia in the NCAA tournament in the 2nd round before Virginia fell to UMass in the Sweet 16. It's been a consistent competition up front for Coach Gelnevach with the strikers. Simmons, Ulue, Smith, even Triton Beauvois getting some minutes. With Smith, they're looking for more assertiveness from him. They almost want him to be a little nastier. Play continues here. American was signaled for a foul by the near side assistant referee. George Gelnevach wants to make sure that if it is a card, that David Erbacher is reminded of that. The officials do have the communication with one another in their ear. Under 13 minutes to go now in half number 1. Mustafa Sow is now the central striker for Coach Samuel's team. Graduate student from New Jersey, born in Gambia, has 6 career goals. Looking for fresh legs right now, down a man. Troy Elgersma remains on the field. Paulino Paz is in, number 20. He's a transfer from Clemson. Paz, a sophomore from Bolivia, played 10 games for the Tigers last season under Mike Noonan. Started in his collegiate debut against Penn State, but then was limited to a reserve role. Paz has played an average of 37 minutes per match so far with American. Hall is in, or rather, Serafino, Drew Serafino, the striker. His cross denied. Dos Santos. Marco waits. Delivers it for De Vicente. Sloan is told to serve it. He does. He keeps it low for Smith. Ping-pongs around. And Dos Santos drilled it wide, but it took a touch off Americans' Taku Takahashi, and a corner kick for the Who's, their 2nd on the evening. So with American making mass substitutions a couple of minutes ago, let's find out if the communication is set here on this set piece for UVA. Remember, the Who's scored their only goal against George Mason off a corner. They go short this time. Pella is left wide open. Dos Santos clips it towards the penalty dot and headed just wide by Akwobwa. Jed Akwobwa bidding for his first collegiate goal. Here's a guy who hasn't played much, but the Virginia coaching staff thrilled with what he's put in so far in the preseason and even in the early stages of the regular season and training. He's tough, he's physical, he's brave, as we just saw, going up for that header. He's intelligent, and he embraces a duel, in the words of associate head coach Adam Perrin. He likes to defend. Simmons racing into space. Now he slows it down and sends it to Akwobwa. Shots now 10-2 Virginia, 5 on target, none for American. Pella and Gashi. The main combination in the midfield for the Who's, as this one trickles beyond the byline. Goal kick for AU. Now we're going to find out what American has in its play. the heart that it takes down a goal inside one of the cathedrals of college soccer early in the season. A lot of youngsters on the team, freshmen and sophomores. How do you compete? What type of fight do you show? Elgersma goes airborne. De Vicente. And Gashi twisted down as he holds his left leg. We've had 7 combined fouls in this match, 4 for UVA, now 3 for American. Out wide for Serafino, the 5th-year senior, 2nd year with UVA, coming over from Boston College. Serafino made his season debut against George Mason, played the entire second half. Really good athlete, and they want to get him more looks. Only played 3 games last season before a season-ending injury on the road against Cal on the 21st of September. At Boston College, he scored a goal in his freshman season against Northeastern. Out wide it goes. Isa here tried to get it, but instead it was De Vicente. Lifted long now for Dos Santos, who puts his back against Takahashi. Dos Santos tight roping that far sideline. Deals it for Simmons. Back to Dos Santos. Goes shoulder to shoulder with Webb Johnson. Out of play for American goal kick. And Webb Johnson is showing that, hey, I do not appreciate the lack of a whistle. Center backs will be tested as well, for sure. Their level of fitness, their communication, organizing the back when they're not in possession tonight. And that'll be the majority of this evening. Down a man. 6'4" A.J. Smith goes up, heads it on, and now takes a run. Finds Gashi, but Albin just couldn't softly bring it to his left foot. 7.5 to play in the first half. We have an injured Eagle at midfield. The athletic trainer for American is Alfonso Davila. There have been a lot of physical challenges in the early moments of this match. As both teams make a respective huddle. It is Sebastian Garces holding that left shoulder, the senior from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, who has now started in 2 straight matches after coming off the bench the first 2 matches this season. Now Garces does appear to be okay as he walks back towards midfield. He wants to come back into the match. Virginia and American, who's the 11th ranked team in the country. Once the national polls are re-released tomorrow, Virginia certainly will drop down after the loss to George Mason. Again, though, it is not a devastating loss. Mason won the A-10 regular season championship last year. A team that should compete for an NCAA tournament bid this year. And for George Mason, it felt like that was its Champions League final. Long ball forward, American with a chance to tie the game. Saved by Moles as he stops so. Oh, star that save for Casper. Mustafa Sow with an opportunity for his first goal of the year. Would have been the 7th of his career. And that's the moment the Eagles really needed in hopes of maybe leveling this match and keeping it that way for the full 90. Loose ball, Elgersma tornadoes down. Free kick for American and a card to Umberto Pella. So after Pella scored in the 10th minute, he's given a yellow card in the 39th minute. Serafino lets it go out. Throw in for UVA. Pop places it wide. De Vicente wants to go long and connects with Smith. Offside flag stays down. The Tyler Junior College transfer in his second year with UVA. Wide for Serafino. Chests it down, delivers to Pella. Looks up and feeds it right back to Serafino. The fifth-year senior crosses in, and Tibbetts alert. Four saves so far for Tibbetts as he nears his total against Vermont just a few days ago. Tibbetts hammers it forward, and then So is called for the foul as he put his shoulder into the airborne Pella. So Parker Sloan to reset it here for the Hoos with under 5 to play in the first half. That shot from So a couple of minutes ago, just the third for America in this half. Eagles on average have been outshot this season 13-6. American with only 7 shots on target in the first 3 matches. Akwobwa. Kashi. Again, no Nick Dang for UVA, no Reese Miller as well. Both players hopeful in the next couple of weeks. Virginia with matches against Virginia Tech and Louisville on the road over the next 12 days. Webb Johnson falls down. Possession remains with American here. Garces, who had returned to the match following the left shoulder problem, he coughs it up. Simmons on the recycle for Gashi. Dos Santos. De Vicente elevating it to the penalty dot. Simmons got the initial head on it. Serafino. American wanted a call for riding up against the back of a player. Gashi nods it over to Serafino. Pella. Here's Pella again, back to Gashi. Marco Dos Santos, they love this guy in multiple spots. He can play as a 9. He'll drop into a 10 role, which he is doing tonight. He was used more on the outside for BC a year ago as a winger. But UVA's coaching staff since the preseason believing that he's best fit towards the interior of the park. And here he is. But Garces makes a challenge on him and cleared aside by American's back line led by Webb Johnson. Now the Eagles certainly just trying to get into halftime here, down by a goal. A second would be deflating. Pella. Dos Santos knocked to the ground. Elgersma with the challenge. Gashi swiftly moves around 2 and almost put it into the top bin. Tibbetts taps it over for a phenomenal save following a wonder strike. Fifth save on the night for Tibbetts. Massive to keep his team down by a goal. With a pair left here in the first half. Everybody is forward for the Hoos. De Vicente's cross right to the top of the 6. Elgersma at 6'3" heads it away. Dos Santos takes a seat, wanted a whistle. A player is down behind the play for UVA. And that's Humberto Pella, but he did spring up. We continue on with 90 seconds to go in the opening 45. 11 shots now for the Hoos. De Vicente. Nicholas Simmons calling for the ball. It goes in that direction. Serafino hits it with the back of his head towards Simmons. Serafino. Pella. The Italian midfielder on the drop-off for Gashi, and now Pella is fouled and a yellow card here for Paulino Paz. So the clock stops with just under a minute to go. That's the third yellow card given out to American in this half. 2 for Patrick Royek is the reason why AU is down to 10. So it's Gashi and De Vicente who surround the ball right now. Gashi scoring against San Diego State, as did De Vicente. Gashi has a hit and blasts it too high. So AU trying to salt the remaining 45 ticks and counting here in this first half. I'll give the Eagles credit for hanging in there. Mission number 1 after the red card handed out. Don't go down by multiple goals at half, and they won't, barring something from UVA's counter. De Vicente. Marco Dos Santos. He's got to hurry here with a dozen seconds left. Bounces down for Smith, who thought about putting his foot in the air. Would have been a dangerous play and probably a card. So an intelligent move from AJ to back off. And the first 45 are done here from Klockner Stadium. George Gelnevach clapping his hands, encouraged with his team's 21. Nick Simmons got one in the 39th minute. And in addition to the 2 yellow cards from Royak, Paulino Paz, the transfer from Clemson, got a yellow in the 45th minute. All right, off we go in half number 2. UVA in the bright orange and American in the silver. A year ago, these two teams met, October 15th of 2024. Virginia fell behind 2-0 and then stormed back for 4 consecutive to win. But American, who hopes to maybe replicate a comeback, will have to do so down by a man. Akwobwa, Pop, and Sloan remain the 3 center backs for UVA. Pella and Gashi in front of them. Ulue up top. And here's Serafino, who runs out of room. Throw in for American. Luke Burns has entered the match for the first time for UVA. 10 in the orange, the sophomore from Arizona. Had his first career assist against San Diego State in the opener back on the 21st of August. Burns the man who goes down here, and a whistle comes. Just to fill in the other Cavaliers, Jesus De Vicente remains as the left wing back, and A.J. Smith stays up top with Ulue. Colin O'Brien is back in for American as the central striker. And good to see Toshi Davis on the field for AU. Davis was a bit of a question mark coming into this match. And Davis did not play in the first half. Davis was injured in the 57th minute against Vermont back on Friday in the 1-1 draw for AU. Zach Samuel wants Toshi to score a little bit more. The only goal he scored in his career was against Virginia in minute number 6 last season at this very venue. Serafino gets a really good cross in over the head of Pop. And now a foot race between Pop and Mason Miller, the freshman from Vegas. Miller played the final 15 minutes of the first half after he did not suit up against Vermont because he got a red card against LMU. If you're just joining us, the Eagles shown their 3rd red card this season in less than 4 matches. Coach Samuel said before the game, the California trip, the 2 games to Cal Baptist and Loyola Marymount, that kind of showed their inexperience. They're learning things as they go. A young team with 16 underclassmen, 7 freshmen, and 9 sophomores, and some of that inexperience showing up again tonight with Royak, a sophomore, getting the red. Pella. Ulue, start number 1 of his collegiate career tonight. For Albin Gashi, it's start 52. Quite the stark difference. Sloan played the full 90 in the first 2 matches this season. Out wide for Akwobwa. Pella serving it into the back post. Headed away by Moad Isa here. And now Reyes Parra is on it for American. Parra, a junior from Round Lake, Illinois, ACC program. Earlier today, Syracuse taking down Yale in New Haven, 1-0. Landon Darko getting the only goal in that match. Miller sweeps it back. Tibbetts gives it right over to Serafino, who goes sliding there with Kobe Kiamini. North Carolina surprisingly a loser today. The number 15 Tar Heels dropping their first match of the season 2-0 at Charleston. UNC previously 3-0 with home wins over UCF, Seattle, and Evansville. So there will certainly be some changes amongst the ACC inside the top 25. 10 programs right now are ranked. Find out where Virginia ends up after the loss to George Mason back on Thursday night. As of right now, Pitt, the number 3 team in the country. Stanford right behind them at number 4. And with Pitt losing a couple of days ago to Georgetown, Marshall, the number 2 team, tying Virginia Tech at home on Friday. And number 1 Vermont in a draw with American in D.C. back on Friday. Who knows? Maybe Stanford's the number 1 team in the country tomorrow. The Cardinal had a big win against number 4 Denver back on the 24th of August. Wake Forest number 5, Clemson number 6. NC State at number 8. Wolfpack 3-0 on the season, outscoring their opponents 10-0 so far. Donovan Phillip has 4 goals this year. Mark Hubbard has just done a fantastic job for NC State in his second year as the head coach after 7 consecutive NCAA tournaments made with New Hampshire. Wolfpack making the big dance last year for the first time in 5 years. Sweet 16 for the first time in 30. Duke at number 9, 2-0-1. Then you have Virginia at number 11, Virginia Tech at number 12. The Hokies probably moving up in the rankings as well after the result on the road in Huntington against the Marshall Thundering Herd. Carolina 15 and Cal at number 17. But the Bears lost a couple of games this past week against San Francisco and UC San Diego, so they'll probably drop out of the top 25. Here in Whoville, it's the Who's 1 and American 0. The difference maker so far coming from Humberto Pella in the 10th minute. On a header set up by Marco Dos Santos, another assist for Alex Parvu, who's on the bench right now. 2 career assists for Parvu, both against American, coincidentally enough. Serafino on the aerial ball, headed down, and a save. Tibbetts denying A.J. Smith his first goal of the year. Tibbetts at 6'2". Coach Samuel said you expect him to be pretty good in the air, and that's been the case for much of his career. Bigger goalkeeper, deals with crosses and set pieces very well. Said it was funny after the Vermont match on Friday, the Catamounts coaches were kind of laughing at him because they were like, yep, we got Matthew Tibbetts twice. Vermont and American tying up north last season, and then a tie in D.C. the other night. Fun for American to open up its home schedule at Reeves Field as it underwent a big renovation. $1.5 million in terms of the dollar amount. Toshi Davis runs out of room. Throw in for the Who's. American played its home games last season at the Maryland Soccer Plex in Boyd's, Maryland, just east of Gaithersburg. About a 35, 40-minute drive without traffic. Could be an hour 15 on weeknights in the traffic. So they're certainly excited to get back in their home pitch. That place was juiced up for the matchup with Vermont. Similar to the environment in Fairfax that Virginia faced back on Thursday night in the 4-1 defeat. George Mason's highest attended game since 2000. They had over 3,000 fans there. Patriots' best win since 2011 in terms of the ranking by the opponent. Free kick here for Jesus De Vicente, who clips it towards the dot. Steered out by American, back out to the midfield. It's Parker Sloan. Just over 10 minutes gone by in this second half. Couple of shots here for UVA since the break. American doesn't have one since the start of half two. Ulue, the man from the Ivory Coast, slides it to Pella. Luke Burns opening up. Pella gyrating, backing up. Totally content to see if Javi Gonzalez will bite. Gonzalez played in 15 matches last season off the bench for American, none until tonight this season. Isa here sends it towards midfield. Pella, a nifty flick. De Vicente on the drop-off. Smith. Pella back to Akwobwa. Ulue. Sammy charges down towards the byline. Davis with the tackle. Virginia corner kick. Corner kick. 4 now on the night for the Hoos. American hasn't had one yet. Zach Sammel, the 7th-year head coach for American, in communication right now with his staff, trying to figure out if a personnel adjustment should be made. Ulue's cross towards the near post is popped right in the air, and Tibbetts lets it go over the crossbar. It was last touched by AU. It was off Oliver Snowden last, the feisty sophomore midfielder from Lorton, Virginia, in Fairfax County. So right back to this near side corner for Ulue. Goes for the Olympico and just over the crossbar of Tibbetts. Goal kick, American. And Sammy now getting some words from Coach Gelnevach, who is shouting out towards the young striker near midfield. It's always interesting. Some coaches will encourage the Olympico try, but others, it doesn't really matter if the try goes just over the net or if you just tapped it out of bounds behind the byline. It ends up being the same result. Comfortable night here from Klockner Stadium. Started off in the mid-70s. It'll drop into the low 60s by night's end. This one smashed away by Gonzalez into a different zip code. And as it rolls back down the hill, you see some young fans going after it. Always a very cool environment here at Klockner Stadium with the fans on the near side and the bleachers. Old school style. And some fans on the far side in lawn chairs, blankets, taking in the game. Serafino on an island here with Toshi Davis. Cross goes off of Snowden. Ulue chipping it around Davis, and Ulue tried to sneak it past Tibbetts, but airmailed it. Changes here for American. Troy Elgersma returns, the captain, leading goal scorer this season with a pair. As he claps 5 here with Colin O'Brien, the other striker. And now Taku Takahashi is back in for Toshi Davis. Noah Hall is in now for UVA as Serafino gets a breather. Hall started the first 3 matches for UVA, the right wing back, newcomer from Pitt. He was a late signing. They got him in the summertime. He was finishing up a bunch of classes at Pitt, some remotely, some through community college, just to get himself in good enough standing to get to UVA. Certainly tough academically to transfer here to Whoville, but Hall put in the requisite work. Coaching staff very proud of how diligent he was in the offseason with his academics to make himself good to go here with the Hoos. See if he provides a different look. Grad student from Cincinnati. A couple of seasons ago, suffered a season-ending knee injury. Aggressive challenge here from Gonzalez. David Erbacher, the referee, kind of shrugs his shoulders at Gonzalez, as if to say, why would you do that? 3 cards have been given out to American tonight. 2 to Patrick Royek. His second yellow in the 23rd minute. American's been down a man since. Ulue shoots, and the rifle goes again to the chest of Tibbetts. 8 saves now for Tibbetts, 2 shy of his career high. Long ball forward. Sloan has to hustle back. Elgersma goes for goal, and it goes off the hand of Moles and wide. It's a corner kick for American. That would have been something, and as Elgersma looks up to the sky, wanted that one really badly with his team down a man quickly in transition, almost caught UVA napping. An outswinger upcoming from Takahashi. First corner kick on the night for AU. Takahashi has 5 assists in his career. 1 against Cal Baptist in the opener. Takahashi keeps it low on the ground, bounces around beyond the far post of Moles. Let's see what the signal is. Throw in for American. Reyes Parra trying to check in towards the ball. Now he escapes that far sideline. Isa here with the short throw in for Elgersma, who dribbled it out of bounds. Remember, in the first half, Mustafa Sow had a glorious chance on a half breakaway against the goalkeeper Moles. Casper made the save. And give Moles a lot of credit for that last stop, too, against Elgersma. Coming off a match in which he surrendered 4 goals. Didn't go the way he wanted. Certainly didn't go the way any Cavalier player wanted it to go. But the coaching staff lauding his response because he showed up to training on Friday. The team didn't train. He trained himself. Ulue scurries after it. Can't keep it in. You know, normally UVA doesn't train the day after a game, but Casper wanted to refine some of the details in his catching after he gave up the goal in which he would certainly characterize as not his best. Working on those fundamentals. Things that I'm sure the casual fan takes for granted. How to catch the ball, where to place the ball after receiving it. Not catching it with the body, instead with the hands, and then bringing it down. Akwobwa from right center back to left center back in Parker Sloan. Virginia playing on Labor Day. It's a consistent thing for the Hoos, but normally they play Maryland. For the first time since 2017, the Hoos are playing on this day against a team that is not Maryland. Beat UNCW. 2-1 in overtime in 2017. Sergio Noose had the game-winning goal in the extra frame. 6 straight Labor Days if you exclude 2020 for Virginia against Maryland. Last year they drew 1-1 in College Park. Burns takes the space, shoots, blocked, ball remains free. Now to Smith. Burns scored one of his 2 goals his freshman season against this American squad on a beautiful run of play. I think it was the goal of the year for UVA. A one-touch sequence, including former Hood Daniel Mangarov. Kome Obogu had 2 goals and an assist that day. And Grant Howard, who is still with this UVA program, but unavailable this season with an injury. Amy Burns can be a spark plug and give UVA a multi-goal advantage. Hall. Akwobwa. Back to Hall, who stays on side. Noah sprints towards the byline, goes to Burns, shot blocked inside. That was Webb Johnson, Now Gashi couldn't connect. Ball out towards midfield. Elgersma couldn't skirt his way free. Pella with Hall to his right. Umberto deals it Noah. But he forfeits possession and wrangles down Chiamini for a free kick for American. Substitutions here for UVA. Nicholas Simmons returns after he was given a yellow card late in the first half. And here comes Marco Dos Santos as well. So A.J. Smith and Samuel Lue go to the bench as Virginia changes up its 2 9s. Dos Santos started the match as a number 10, a central attacking midfielder. Now he's at a forward spot. (17-4) the advantage in shots for UVA. Elgersma and Pella combating. Para. And that's a miss hit from Isa here. De Vicente trying to shepherd it out. He does. Tangled up there with Para. And the throw-in goes back to Parker Sloan. Anyway, mentioning those Labor Day games. Parker Sloan, the last time Virginia played on Labor Day here in Charlottesville, one of his best matches of his career. Beat Maryland 2-1 that day. And he did an excellent job defending Kamani Stewart-Baines, a star attacker for the Terps. De Vicente offside, ball back to American. That match between Maryland and Virginia may be one of the favorite ones I've called in my career. Remembering back to that day, Virginia scored an early goal on a penalty kick. Leo Afonso. Maryland quickly equalized like a minute later. It was contentious, both sides arguing. Sasho Sarovsky and George Gelnevach totally invested emotionally into the match. At one point, Sarovsky got a yellow card. Game-winning goal that day from Mo Tiam. And Holden Brown, former Who, the goalkeeper, he made a save on a penalty kick against Luke Van Hoeklem. Excellently played match. And it was a lot of fun. Such a smart play from Gashi. Exiting pressure and locating Hall. As we near the midway point of half number 2. Virginia plus 13 in the shots category, plus 8 in shots on goal. Matthew Tibbetts keeping his team in the game with 8 saves. Casper Moles has made 2 incredible stops to keep his team with the edge. Towards the back line, Dos Santos gives chase, as does Webb Johnson, who ushers it out of play. Throw in for the Who's. Dos Santos wants to operate with some pace. Pella to Hall. Slow it down now for Gashi. Dos Santos clapping for the ball, and he receives. Marco looks up, has an assist already tonight. Bursting towards the byline, leaves it towards the penalty dot. Cleared away by American and Para. Happy Labor Day to everybody watching. The unofficial end to the summer. The official ending in a few weeks. But nobody should be wearing white pants after today's date. Virginia wearing the white shorts today. Looks good with the orange. Sloan. Now Pella drives it towards the corner of the 18. Dos Santos with 2 defenders converging. Ian Webb Johnson has been fantastic tonight for American, locking it down in the back. Gashi picks his head up, slots it in for Hall. Burns bumps into Dos Santos. Gashi. Albin Drifting towards the interior. Dos Santos to the byline. His cross repelled off the body of Chiamini. For Virginia, it is corner kick number 6. Keep an eye on Simmons, 7, who scored off a corner in the last game. Akwobwa, 20, who puts himself right on the goal line. And Sebastian Pop, 16, the center back. Towards the top of the box. Burns couldn't wrap his foot around it. Wasted opportunity for Virginia. Elgersma brings it down. Connected here with Burns, and Luke wins that battle as he deals it into space for Hall. American just trying to find one moment, maybe from a guy like Elgersma. 7 assists to lead the Patriot League last year. 3 goals the entirety of 2024, though. He has 2 already this season. Coach Samuel really lauds Elgersma's brain. He says Troy is just exceptionally smart. He thinks so quickly. The decision-making process just happens rapidly for Troy. Pella punches it to the far side. Dave Vicente lifts it up. Isa here with an individual act. Couldn't maintain. De Vicente. Pella gets it. Drags it away from the American defender. That was Gonzalez. Akwobwa looks up. Links up there with Simmons. And it goes back out towards midfield for Akwobwa. Jed making his first collegiate start tonight and his 3rd ever cap in college after not playing the entirety of last season. Athletic guy, speedy. His dad, Peter, a triple jumper for Great Britain, actually, way back when. Here's Akwobwa. Simmons. Continues on the right foot. Gonzalez puts a challenge in. Receives the encouragement from his bench. With 18 minutes to play. Time starting to become a factor for American. Always a big question mark as to when you start to take some risks. Down by a man and down by a goal. After the second yellow card was given out to Patrick Royek in minute 23 for kicking the ball away after he was given his first yellow. This ball hangs free and it nearly found Simmons. Elgersma is up top, maybe waiting for a punt from Tibbetts, but senior goalkeeper for American will slow it down. Up towards Elgersma. Free kick. Burns and Pella and Sloan all surrounding Elgersma. They understand who the top-notch guy is on this American squad. I said it earlier, but Elgersma wasn't highly recruited out of California. Thought at one point maybe he'd have to go to a Division III school. He's a 6'3" guy, and during his growth spurt, maybe lost a little bit of that athleticism, and that's why some people maybe took him off their list. But his athleticism has improved, and Coach Samuel really liked what he saw, brought him way out to the East Coast. It's paid dividends. Snowden drives it off the head of the center back Webb Johnson, out of play for a UVA goal kick. Casper Moles, drafted by Atlanta United. 77th pick back in 2024 after bringing Kentucky to a couple of NCAA tournaments, now in his first season here in Charlottesville. Replacing Joey Petruni's net from a year ago. Moles, until the Mason game, wasn't necessarily all that busy in the first 2 against San Diego State and Stetson. A couple of one-save shutouts. Wide for Hall, who can't keep it in and has to be careful before crashing into bricks. as we move closer and closer to the quarter-hour mark of remaining time. American is also without one of its key strikers tonight, and Nicholas Beal, the freshman who scored in his debut at Cal Baptist. Beal didn't play against Vermont either. That's a big loss for Coach Samuel's team. They've had different combinations up front without Beal. They've used Colin O'Brien as a starter for the last couple of matches. Troy Elgersma has moved around from center mid to center forward. Mustafa Sow has gotten some time up there, but they miss Beal. Here comes Bakari Tanjagora in the match, 17 in the orange. Free kick given to American. Tanjagora made his debut against Mason, played the entire second half back on Thursday night. Top Drawer Soccer's 10th best recruit out of New Jersey in the class of 2025 out of the Pennington School. He helped Pennington and St. Benedict's 100-match unbeaten streak to win a state championship a couple years back. They think this guy is really athletic. He's technical as he's on the ball here, and he calmly moves around the defense of Takahashi. Purposeful and direct, some of the adjectives used by associate head coach Adam Perrin to highlight Tanjagora. Freshman from Senegal originally. Akwobwa, who has fit in very nicely in his first ever start this evening, hasn't looked out of place. Goes direct to Tanjagora. Back to goal play. Got to give him a check mark for that. Virginia content with possession. Tanjagora wants the ball on the near side flank. Gashi had a notion of giving Bakari the ball. Instead, they'll flip it towards the opposite side. DeVicente goes airborne, lifts it way up there. Simmons uses the back of his head. Snowden, not out just yet for American. Sloan. Back three haven't come out tonight for UVA. Pella and Gashi have also played all the minutes so far. Simmons. Horizontally for Gashi. Jesus DeVicente. Albin Gashi to Umberto Pella and DeVicente as they make a triangle on that far side. DeVicente places it right on the right foot of Hall. Drags it towards the inside. Hall lets it go. Save Tibbetts. Matthew Tibbetts with his 9th save tonight, one shy of matching his career high. Tibbetts had 10 against UNCW in August of last year. Change here for AU. Gonzalez out, So is in for more offense. A dozen minutes to go. Corner kick from UVA. Back post, and it nearly found the head of Sloan. Whistle on UVA and a free kick for American. That ball was spicy from Dos Santos. Certainly enticing for an orange jersey to get on the end of it on that back post. We haven't had as many goals as we did in last year's meeting between these two, which ended up 4-2 UVA, but it still had a lot of intrigue. For UVA, kind of has a similar feel to the Stetson match. Now, the Hatters did not go down to 10 men, but Virginia won that match 1-0, but comfortably. In terms of the possession time, not allowing the Hatters to get many cracks at net. It's the second time this season Virginia has faced an opponent down to 10. In the opener, San Diego State's Baptiste Boyd received a red card after video review. He was initially given a yellow card, 50th minute, so right after halftime. He brought down Umberto Pella right on the edge of the area, and after review, they upgraded it from yellow to red. And then Virginia scored a second goal that game with De Vicente in the 82nd minute. An assist from Burns. Hall picks his head up, fakes, deals it. Dos Santos curls it back post for Simmons. Now Gashi with a lick. And Virginia offside here as Gashi went in. Good sportsmanship there with Ian Webb-Johnson. Samuel saying about Webb-Johnson, he was behind two great center backs in the past, and Nicholas Shirley, Cooper Nunn. His feet were never as great as those two, but he's maybe a better defender than those two guys. He's physical and he can handle those big guys up front like a Nicholas Simmons, the 6'4" freshman. Webb-Johnson is the only guy who's played all the minutes tonight for American aside from his goalkeeper, Tibbetts. And Webb-Johnson gets a foot on this, but gives it away for Dos Santos. Neatly finds De Vicente. Drops it off Gashi. Turns it up towards net, just wide. It hit the paws of Tibbetts. Now 10 saves for Matthew, which ties his career high. Virginia with corner kick number 8. Marco Dos Santos taking his time. An assist tonight on the Umberto Pella goal way back in the 10th minute. Dos Santos dials it up towards the near post. Off the head of Pella. Drops near Simmons. Shot from Pop blocked. Rebound ricochets off the back of Mustafa Sow. This is the 9th corner kick for UVA. And they continue with the in-swinger as they call upon the righty in Gashi. Albin had an assist on the Brendan Lamb goal against Stetson. Gashi goes short. Dos Santos back to Gashi, elevating it to the back post where Tibbetts is waiting for it. Seeking an option in transition. He's got Mustafa Sow with blazing speed on this near side. Instead, he goes towards the far. Under 8 minutes to go now in the second half. American only has a couple of shots here in the second 45. Up to Sow. Elgersma moves into space. Clever play. Clips it in towards the D. Tanjagora. Drop off for Gashi. De Vicente to Gashi. American playing with 3 back right now. Again down to 10 men. Simmons. Gashi as Virginia tries to open up the field. Webb-Johnson is there. He's alert. Distributes for Elgersma. Back to Jonah Fogel. All the way back to Tibbetts. A rare spell of possession here for AU as we hit under 7 minutes to go. Virginia plus 16 in the shots. Webb-Johnson floats it towards Sullivan. Up top, and a Quobo reaching over the shoulder of Sow. Free kick for American. As Mustafa reorganizes his laces. So last scoring against UMBC, 17th of September last year, he had a brace. 6 career goals for the graduate student from Jersey. Offset pieces. Pay attention to Webb-Johnson, 23. Pay attention to 30, Elgersma. Oliver Snowden set to take it. Keeps it on the ground here for Takahashi. Elevating it towards the 6. Nobody home for American. Some screams of a penalty from the Eagles, but nothing coming from David Erbacher. It was So down inside the 6. He thought he was shoved. Half a dozen minutes left now for American to find an equalizer. Well, the Who's totally cool to just pass the ball around the park. It's a 4-4-1 right now for AU. So the lone striker. Akwobwa goes down awkwardly. No contact. He's taking a seat. And then this is blasted out of play by Takahashi. Immediately he points right towards Akwobwa to say, hey, I'm punching it out with hopes of getting this back. A move of good sportsmanship. This is not what Virginia wants to see with so many defenders down. No Nick Deng just yet. No Reese Miller. Zachary Ehrenpreis, if you're just joining us, not playing this evening after a red card in the first half against Mason. And the options become really thin for Coach Gelnevach and company after an injury to a guy like Akwobwa. The athletic trainer Kim Johnston is out there for UVA as the clock stops with just over 5.5 minutes to go. Alex Parvu is the man receiving instructions right now on the Virginia sideline. Parvu is mostly a wingback, so someone is going to have to be pushed inside, whether it's Hall or Parvu. Now, we've had no rain today. It's been a gorgeous day. So no rain hit this surface. But of course, they do have the sprinkler system in effect just to hydrate the field before games during halftime. So you just wonder if that's the reason why there was the slip up there from Akwobwa. But it's good to see 20 in orange on his feet. And he will slowly trot his way towards the Virginia bench. For American, it does give its players a chance to rest. These guys have been working hard all night long. They've been down to 10 men since the 23rd minute of this game. Patrick Royak hammering a ball away after a whistle from the referee, David Erbacher, who had no choice but to blow his whistle and hand out a second card after Royak got a yellow card before the first minute of the game expired. So Virginia throws this in, and Dos Santos will give it back to American after the good showing of sportsmanship from Taku Takahashi. With 5.5 minutes to go. American got a result against the nation's #1 just a few days ago, looking for a road result against the nation's #11 team. DeVicente down the line for Simmons. It goes off the foot of American's Moad Izahir. Simmons works his way free. Couldn't connect there with Hall. Takahashi taps it back. Webb Johnson clears. So lets it go. Space for Fogel. Jonah Fogel, one of the more seasoned players on this team. Senior gives it for So. Elgersma tries to dance around Pella, couldn't do so. And Elgersma is holding his knee. Sebastian Pop telling him to get up. Americans bench didn't like that very much. Elgersma holding that right knee. Alfonso Davila, the athletic trainer, out once again. And boy, oh boy, this would be devastating for American. Preseason Patriot League Offensive Player of the Year, won the award last year. 3 goals and 7 assists in 2024. A guy who has grown from a fringe Division I player to a guy who is being looked at by MLS scouts. And I'm sure it would take a lot for Elgersma to go down at this stage of the match. knowing his importance to his squad. They try to get that game-tying goal. And Elgersma, good to see him up, but unsure if he'll be able to continue. So Elgersma is off the pitch. For now, American is not bringing on anybody else. Elgersma is slowly walking his way back towards midfield. So David Erbacher is going to drop the ball here. And possession for American, and wow, Elgersma's on the field. So we're back to 11 v 10. Virginia with the manpower advantage. Off the giveaway, Tangagora. Slips it through Elgersma, but Troy regains and steers it back. Mason Miller. Elgersma. Isa here wants it. Instead, Sullivan into the box. Pop away. And now Sloan has enough. Under 4 minutes to go. Virginia on the verge of victory number 3 in 4 matches. American hasn't won a game just yet. 0-2-1. So, Sullivan. Isa here. Moad Isa here. Back towards Snowden. Throw in for American. Clock continues to drain. 3.5 left. Fogel, a 2-footed guy, started the game at right back, now on the left side. Takahashi. Elgersma behind Taku, who gets run into by Marco Dos Santos. Free kick for American. Tibbetts. Miller. Sullivan surging forward. Sophomore with the drop off. Isa here. Snowden. Miller. Webb Johnson. 2.5 left. Just 5 shots tonight for American. Down a man the final 70. Make that 67 minutes. Pop tries to shepherd it out. He does. And he has something to say about it as he engages with Mustafa Sow. This is an American team coming into Klockner Stadium, not afraid. And speaking with the Virginia coaching staff, they say about Zach Sammel, he's an astute tactician. They're not afraid to make changes, be unpredictable. Obviously, the entire game plan for American was thrown out of whack once the red card happened midway through the first half. But it's an AU team that believes. They've had 4 straight seasons at 500 or better, something that hasn't happened since the 80s for this program. Sloan in a tangle here, but pretzels his way free and clears it out. Mustafa Sow applying the pressure. Tibbetts, maybe one final chance here for American. Fogel feeds it. Takahashi stays in bounds. Hall is wrapped up. Foul on Takahashi. And the clock will continue to move inside of a minute left. And Virginia in no particular hurry as the clock continues to bleed. So Alex Parvu inserted as that right center back for the injured Akwobwa. Parvu delivers it towards the 18-yard box. Fogel tries to keep it in. He can't. This is a corner kick for UVA, and more time getting massaged off the clock. Bakari Tanjagora thinking about playing it short. Dos Santos, the junior, a veteran in college soccer, telling him to slow it down. And now they'll protect that ball as best they can right near that corner flag. Tipped out by American with under 15 seconds to go. David Erbacher stops the clock, not giving Virginia a chance to surgically take more time off. Pella, a soft toss towards the corner. Dos Santos in a crowd of 3 Eagles. Ball out of play, and that wraps it up here from Klockner Stadium. A physical match between these two, separated by a couple of hours, American and Virginia.